Okay, so we're coming up on 3:37 p.m. I have a prompt written here for an inventory tracking system. I have to tell you, every time that I get a request for an inventory tracking system, I just despise it. It's so hard to track inventory. In my opinion, in Excel, you should be using QuickBooks or something like that. So we go to Excel Labs, open agent mode, and I will paste. All right, just turn over to 3:37, and we're going to see how long this takes to produce a result. So we'll let it go. All right, so after 2,600 videos, I have a confession. I mean, I record the video and then I go back through, and if something takes, more than a few seconds, like if it takes 14 seconds for Excel to do something, I'm gonna snip 10 seconds out, just because I don't want you to sit there and stare at everything for 14 seconds. But I think in this one, while in my first video, I, did things pretty quickly and cut it down, I really think it's important to see exactly just how long it's actually taking that they're spending here. A total of 14 and a half minutes of agent time to build this worksheet to build this workbook with all these different worksheets. So let me tell you what you're seeing here. The green box at the bottom, video time, is the elapsed time in this video. No cuts, no edits. The red box is how much time the agent has spent on this, and the blue box is how much time I've spent either introducing the prompt, finding the error that we discover later, or doing the wrap-up. Over here on the right-hand side, you see the little flashing colored Morse code. Next to it says finalizing sheet setup. Okay, so that I've enlarged here in this red item just below the three boxes. So finalizing sheet setup is all the status updates that I'm getting from the pane over there, but I'm making them larger so you can see them. And then this second line is just translating that to straight English, right? Like, what does that mean, right? So just so you can kind of follow along with what's happening. All right, so it says 105 seconds. We're at 3:39. It's understanding my request. Talking about the sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets. Looking for professional style. 8 steps. I assume we have dynamic array functions, right? Yeah. Okay, with all these status updates that we're getting and staring at Excel and actually watching some progress, you can imagine if you went to ChatGPT and asked for something and it took 13 minutes to do it, you would be convinced that it was hung up, like you would abandon, right? But at least with all these constant status messages over on the right-hand side, we're actually seeing that there is some progress happening and we stick around, right? So that's good. Today is Excel's 40th birthday, and to me, 40 is an important number because if you use the function equal Roman, open paren of 40, close paren, press enter, you'll get the letters X and L, which sounds like Excel, and to me that's a great joke. So I went into my workout group this morning at 5:45 a.m., on kind of a Excel birthday high, and they were all ready for me. They all sang a group happy birthday to Excel, which I thought was just amazing. While I was waiting for this thing to run the first time, I went over and created a snarky song about Excel taking 17 minutes to do something. But now that I have this timer here, I see that it wasn't really 17 minutes, it was less than that. So then the question is, do I go change the song to be about something that took 14 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is? All right, we have sheets for setup, receipts, sales, tracker, and reorder.
Well, I fired up Excel bright and early today. Typed my prompt in a box, then I stepped away. Said, build me a tracker, simple and clean. But the agent sat there thinking like a slow machine. 14 minutes, and it's still not done. Yeah, it's crunching and it's working, but I ain't having fun. It's mighty impressive, all the charts and code, but I need a deck of cards just to carry the load.
It's like I have a new intern here that's going to do my work for me, but unfortunately he's doing my work in my only copy of Excel. So while he's doing things in Excel, what am I supposed to be doing?
I watched it format, I watched it change its mind. Merged a cell, fixed a cell, and rewrote the line. It's talking about off a script like it's whispering spells, but I'm just sitting here bored staring at my Excel. 14 minutes, Lord is moving slow, building me a workbook row by row. If this is the future, I might need a plan, 'cause solitaire and coffee's all I understand. Don't get me wrong, it's a magic machine, turning words into formulas like I've never seen. But while it thinks I've got time to kill, might start a poker game or learn to sit still. By the time it was done, it looked mighty fine. Chart on the right, totals all in line. But next time I prompt it, I'll be ready to go. Got my cards and my coffee and my Texas blues flow. 14 minutes to build my
Proceeding cautiously with setup.
Agent mode, driving the Excel machine. It's smart as a whip, but I paid my dues. Waiting on AI with a 14-minute blues. 14-minute blues.
One of the funniest things is getting this clock to keep running down here. There's some formula mastery and a huge VBA issue that if you don't touch the mouse for 10 seconds, they stop screen updating, even though you're telling it to update the screen. So for me to get this 25 minutes of timer here, I had to just move the mouse up and down like this, up and down like this. Crazy. I'm sitting here thinking about this new book that I wrote called Excel at 40, with the 40 greatest features through September of 2025. And on the very second to the last day of September, they release this agent mode. And does it make it into the list of top 40? And if it does, which one does it bump? You know, or do I just add a 41? I hate when the book becomes instantly obsolete. And like this one probably came obsolete the day before it came out. I don't know. Would anyone even notice if I just stuck an extra 41 in there? The most humble MVP, Giles, came out with his new Excel video today. And I wonder if he's irritated that there's 3 different songs that were released today.
It grew so fast.
Excel can't do. So raise a sail and hit that sword. It's Excel at 40, still holding court. From flash fill thrills to pivot fame, every function knows your name. It's a spreadsheet legend built to last. Let's toast that grid from present to past with features hot and minds so nerdy. Happy birthday, Excel! You just turned 40. Goals seek dreams and sparkline shine. Text Joe and sings across the line. Data types and lets that flow. Even Copilot's in the show. Freeze those pains, don't lose your view. Recover what you almost blew. Name ranges, custom formats too. You keep us working smart and true. Dynamic arrays we analyze with lambda lifting formulas high. Watch window one, we see it all. Still rocking grids like it's 94. So here's to Johnson, Phil handles bold. To Python deep in columns gold. Excel at 40, you're looking fine. Still the king of the business line. You're our workbook hero, code or plane. With every feature in our brain. So let's all cheer, no need to stall. Happy birthday, Excel, the grid that rules them all. The grid that rules them all. Yeah.
There's a bunch of jokes in the book, including this one about a feature being deprecated. I'd never seen this word before I was an MVP. I was actually out at an MVP summit and it was up on a slide. And I thought the word was depreciation. Bob almost said, no, hey, that's deprecation. That's when they take a feature out of Excel. I'd never heard the word before, so I actually explained it here in the book. And I thought it was funny that I took the time to explain deprecation just to make sure the joke would land. So then I came up with a new word, Mr. Excel-splaining. So I'm not making this up. This is page 184 in the book. You have the whole top half of the page explaining deprecation, the whole bottom half of the page explaining Mr. Excel-splaining, all just to make a two-line joke work. If you look at those red messages at the bottom, it's like getting close. You know, it's seeming that it thinks that it's done. And then there it finally came up with reason for 625 seconds. Now that's interesting. I think that it reasoned for more than that, 771 seconds. So why did they come up with 625? I don't know. This doesn't seem fair. My clock is running now, and I'm still looking at the other computer because I forgot that this thing was running. But that's the human element, right? You lose focus, and before you get focus back to come back to Excel to see how it did, you waste a good 30 to 40 seconds here of time adding up to my timer. Okay, so here we are, 351, tells me what it created, each of the sheets, assumptions, all right, key formulas already inserted. After the fact, that's a pretty badass formula right there. Running balance for each row per product. Unit cost, inventory value. Yep, all right. Reorder report. This is great. All right, so we have to enter starting balances on the setup for the 20 products. Enter current unit costs and reorder points on the item master. Record receipts, record sales positive and returns negative on the sales sheet. And we should get a clear reorder now or monitor actions. Watch out for spilled dynamic arrays. Clean headers, background accents. Titles to center using center across selection as requested. No merge cells used, yay. All right, they checked all tables. 20 products. When building, I detected generic header names in some tables, column 1, and corrected to your specific headers. Also stabilize the product ID dropdown by binding it to the live starting inventory product ID column. Good. And then offers these enhancements. On-hand snapshot per day per product on a separate dashboard. Ooh, nice. Suggested reorder quantity. Charts for inventory trend by product. Pivot summaries by month or customer. All right, those are good. Let's see. So here's our receipts table. Sales and return. It's adding these little emojis in. That's interesting. Inventory tracker. Reorder point. Okay, so let's start out with starting quantities of these. 50 and 250. And we'll convert those to values. We'll assume that all these cost about $4.75. And a reorder point of 100. That seems great. So today we will receive product 01 and get 150 of those in. Let's see if there's anything back here that we are low on. Product 19. $25 of those in. Product 1, we sold 2. We had a big run on P20 here, the new book that just came out. P17, we sold one of those, and P12. We got one returned. Okay, we got a spill error here. All right, I'm going to pause so we can troubleshoot this. All right, I guess I'm going to ask. I guess I'm going to ask you to try and figure these out and fix it. I do like the reorder point. It has a reorder now highlighted in yellow and monitor, because we must be close on those. Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back here and say, I'm watching my time click up here. I'm up to like 7 minutes before I actually tell them about the issue. And on the tracker sheet,
I considered, well, do I try and fix this? But really, the people using agent mode, they're not going to want to try and fix that formula. They're going to want agent mode to fix that formula.
right, so that's at 20:37 in the video. Sent that request.
Okay, great. Now the agent clock is running again.
I mean, I was impressed by that formula we saw before, the let formula. The formula that's going to come out of this correction is really a mind-blowing formula. Finalizing a dynamic formula approach. You know, it would be funny if they had a Monty Python mode where the status updates were the second line over there instead of the first line. That would be hilarious. Preparing to implement changes.
Are we Monty Pythons here in this house? I would say we are. My son Zeke could repeat large swaths of Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. We flew to Toronto for Spam-A-Lot. I think I've seen Spam-A-Lot again, maybe in Cleveland when we were there. So, and when John Cleese came to town, I got to meet John Cleese while he talked about the movie. So yeah, Python fans, definitely.
All right, so it's explaining why it got the errors. Cleared blockers in the tracker's spill area. Rebuilt the tracker with one dynamic formula in A4 that generates all 6 columns. Yeah, hey, that's working. Verify the results. That is a pretty crazy formula right there. Explains the formula. Checks the first 10 rows. So it's doing the running total based on hand date. So 1 per date instead of transaction by transaction. I'm good with that. Explains why the errors happened. All 3 errors are fixed. It's okay the way it is. All right, so we're 23 minutes and 26 seconds in. And have a pretty impressive solution. It shocks me in how long it takes. Like, it's working for 20 minutes. You know, that's a mind-blowing long time for this to happen. Right? Just wanted to show you. You know, it's not that it's working for a couple of minutes. It's reasoning over this for quite some time and created 5 different sheets with formulas back and forth. It's amazing. No, and then the other thing here, all of this great explanation, we need to copy this and paste this to Word, because as soon as you save the workbook or do a save as, this all gets just wiped out. I can't figure out a way to get it back. Actually, I have an idea of how to get it back. Let's try that. So here, we'll come here to Word. Blank document, paste. Here, feature gallery, nope. Here, resize, nope. You know, in regular Copilot, there's hidden somewhere the show history, but it only shows half a page. So, what did we get here in Word? We got. We're on page 14, 14 pages of explanation. I don't know if they're planning on saving that much or anything. All right, so this new agent mode in Excel, it's a pretty amazing bit of software. Currently running only in Excel Labs, currently only running in Excel Online, but it'll be coming to the real Excel at some point in the near future.